So let's try this again. It looks like my microphone was on mute the whole time I was reading the story previously. So we'll start over. Today I wanted to share a story with you titled Woof Finds a Family. And it is a lot of fun. It's a story that I grew up with. We didn't have the books, but we did have the cassette tapes. So we had 3 different books from the Woof series, all on cassette tape. And sometime I will share with you the story of me being in a car with some cassette tapes, the Woof cassette tapes, and how I believe that my angel protected me in the midst of that. Welcome, Susie. Welcome, Dee. So this is kind of a long story, so we're going to split it up into a couple days. I have some little sticky note tabs on the pages. I've looked ahead and kind of split it up. So we're going to start reading the book Woof Finds a Family by Danae Dobson, illustrated by Dee DeRosa. All right, so it was a wet August day as Chrissy and Mark Peterson looked out of Chrissy's second-story bedroom window. "Look at the rain coming down," Mark said, peering down at the sidewalk. "What a day to splash in the puddles." "Not now," Chrissy replied. "I don't feel like it. Actually, I don't feel like doing anything." "Me neither," Mark said, looking up at 10-year-old Chrissy. "Let's just watch the rain." As they sat at the window, a man in a black raincoat walked briskly down the sidewalk. Stumbling up to the man came a wet, shaggy-haired dog who looked like he hadn't had a bath in weeks. He rubbed his head against the man's pant leg as if asking to be petted. "Get away, mutt," the man shouted and kicked the poor dog into the gutter. "Leave me alone." The dog lifted his head and watched the man round the corner of Maple Street. "Chrissy," Mark said, grabbing her sleeve, "did you see that?" Instead of answering, Chrissy ran down the stairs and out the door. 6-year-old Mark followed as fast as he could. Chrissy picked up the dog affectionately, although he was almost too heavy for her to carry. The dog licked her hand gratefully. By the time Mark burst out the front door, Chrissy was already returning to the house. "Let me hold him! Let me pet him!" Mark begged impatiently. "Wait," Chrissy replied, frowning at him. Mrs. Peterson heard the commotion and came outside, holding a newspaper to shield her hair from the rain. "Chrissy, Mark," she shouted, "what on earth are you doing with that ugly, filthy dog?" "Mom, this is our new pup," said Mark. "You can tell he doesn't belong to anyone. He doesn't even have a collar on. Please, can we keep him?" "Certainly not. You can get that idea out of your mind. I don't want to even discuss it. Now put him down and come into the house. Your clothes are already soaked through." But the children were not about to give up that easily. "Mom," Mark said, "he doesn't have a home. Couldn't we just keep him until tomorrow? Please?" Mrs. Peterson looked at the animal. Indeed, he was a sight. He looked up at her with pitiful eyes and wagged his crooked little tail. Mrs. Peterson's heart softened, and she said, "Okay, you can keep him until this weekend. He does need a dry bed and some food." "Oh boy!" both the children shouted at the same time. "Wait," Mrs. Peterson cautioned. "I said you can only keep the dog until Saturday night. Maybe we can find him a good home by then." The 2 children raced towards the house with the animal beside them. "Chrissy," said Mrs. Peterson, "I don't want to be unkind, but I refuse to have that filthy dog in our house. You can make him a soft bed in the garage, and I suggest you give him a bath." "All right, come on, Mark," said Chrissy. "Let's give him a bath. You go get a tub and some soap, and I'll get old rags and towels." When the children had everything ready, they set the dog in the tub of soapy water. They couldn't believe how dirty he was. At least 1,000 fleas were scampering all around his furry body. "That's why he itches all the time," said Chrissy. "This poor dog must be miserable." They scrubbed him until he was clean. "Phew," said Chrissy, wiping sweat off her forehead. "That's done." Then they dried him off and dusted him with flea powder left over from the time they had taken care of the Smith's cat. Mark found one of his old toothbrushes and brushed the dog's teeth, although the animal didn't seem to appreciate it very much. "Finally," Chrissy said when they were finished, "have you thought about what we're going to name him?" "Not really," said Mark. "He looks like Rover to me." That's too common," Chrissy replied. "How about Penny?" "No. Hey, let's ask him what he wants to be called," Mark said. They both looked at the dog. As if he had read their minds, the dog barked, "Woof!" "How about that?" said Chrissy. "He answered us. I think Woof is a great name." "Me too," Mark said. "Let's name him Woof." At dinner that evening, the children could talk to their father of nothing but Woof. How they found him and everything that had happened that day. They were still upset about the man in the raincoat who had kicked the pup. As Mother was bringing the dessert, an awful thing happened. Woof managed to push open the door between the house and the garage. He bounded into the living room in the direction of his new friends, but as he was coming through the doorway, he slid on the hardwood floors and crashed into a tea table that held a vase. The vase toppled and fell to the floor, breaking into a million pieces. Mother shrieked and Father gasped. Mrs. Peterson began to wail about the antique vase, which had been in the family for 90 years. Chrissy ran to Woof and started to lead him back to the garage. "Just look at this mess," Mr. Peterson said. "Either you find a home for that animal by tomorrow afternoon, or he is going to the pound." "No," Mark begged, "please." But Mr. Peterson had made up his mind. He picked up the newspaper and sat down on the sofa. The two children ran up the stairs in tears. They both knew what the pound meant for a dog like Woof. Death. That is where we are going to end our story for today. So, tomorrow, join us and we will be reading more of Woof Finds a Family by Janae Dobson. I hope you have a wonderful night, and I'll see you soon.